Hi, everybody. Dr. Larry, the author of Save Baseball, a prescription for the major leagues. You know, Baseball season's underway. It's a great time of year. We're a couple of weeks in, and we talked a little while ago, maybe earlier this week, about some of the surprises thus far, and there will be plenty more to come. But one of the things that has not changed, that seems to be a constant is the runner at second base. I'll call it the ghost runner, as a lot of people do as well, in extra innings during the regular season. This started because of COVID. It also became a temporary rule in 2020 to save arms so teams don't play extended extra innings and therefore, burning up their bullpen and their pitchers. So this became a permanent rule and after COVID, and it's absolutely ridiculous. It's time to shelve this and scrap it, in my opinion. So let's talk a little bit more about the extra inning rule. So again, it started because of COVID, and if you're not familiar with it, basically what happens is when teams go into extra innings, the 10th inning, a runner, as you see Mike Trout here, for example, is placed at second base to start the inning. Why would they do that? Because it's much easier to get him home from second than to start a fresh inning with nobody on, and potentially we're going to move the game along a little bit quicker and not go deep into extra innings. So my problem with this is simple. Well, it's just not baseball. It's not. It's ridiculous. It looked bad in the COVID 2020 season, and it looks bad in 2025. It's just ridiculous. So, um, I think what it says to baseball fans is, hey, listen, our offense as a league is so terrible. We have to kind of hedge our bet. We got to put somebody at second base because, the chances of somebody actually getting a couple of hits back to back or somebody hitting a home run, pretty slim, which is true. So this is a bigger problem than, hey, we're trying to save some arms and, trying to make the game go a little quicker. It's the offense is horrific in Major League Baseball, and this is them admitting that is what I think. So, it reminds me of slow pitch softball. And I played that in my 20s quite a bit. And if you haven't played, here's what happens. Let me know if this sounds familiar. If somebody needs a pinch runner, it's the last out, just like this. So it's the same kind of concept of, well, let's put somebody else out there that can run, and it's the last out. So again, this is just not baseball. And I reached out yesterday to a friend of mine who's a former major league manager, coached in the big leagues for a long time. And I simply just asked him, I said, what's your take on this extra inning rule now that we've had it for a few years? And quite simply, he came back with a very short response. Ridiculous. Play the game out. And I could not agree more. And again, this is not a rule during the Major League playoffs. Why? Because it's not baseball. That's why. So if it's not something we use in the playoffs, why are we doing it in the regular season? I mean, what's next? Are they going to have a home run hitting contest to decide who wins the game? Maybe a mercy rule down the road. Let's get the games going faster if it's 10-1, or you got a 9-run lead like Little League going into the, I don't know, fifth or sixth inning. It reminds me of other sports. In the NHL, their shootouts, again, to me, I'm not a big NHL fan. I do appreciate the sport. It's an incredible sport to watch in person, by the way, if you've never done that. The NHL, if they are tied after the third period, they play in overtime and then they go to a shootout. It's just ridiculous. Same with soccer, right? Soccer fans, I know there's a lot of you out there. But let's look at the data. What does the data say about this rule in Major League Baseball? Okay, 2019, the year before the rule, like normal baseball, 4.6% of games went longer than 10 innings because we're trying to get these games over quickly, and they do end um, earlier, right? Because there's Mike Trout. He's already second base when we start the top of the inning or the bottom of the inning for the home team. So 4.6% of those games went longer than 10 innings. So that's one extra inning greater than. How about last year, 2024? Do you think it was significantly lower because of this rule? I kind of thought it would be. It's not. 3.4% of games went longer than 10 innings. So we're talking 1.2% of games went longer with the rule not in play. So to me, statistically, not relevant. So Major League Baseball, ask your fans because you don't do that very often. You just make these top-down decisions and you think you know what fans want. You don't, because this is one thing that I have yet to find a fan that has told me, I love this rule. Now, this is your opportunity. You are watching this video, comment and let me know your thoughts. Tell me if I'm wrong, if I'm crazy, but tell me why. I'd like to know maybe there's something I'm missing, but thus far, I don't see it. And I was a minor league baseball broadcaster for a number of years myself. And most of those years, I flew solo. I didn't have well, actually, every year, I never had anybody else doing play by play but me. And you know what? I'll be really honest with you. When you're in baseball, like ask a player, ask a manager, a coach, broadcaster. We don't like extra innings. We don't like the free baseball. So fans do. Usually it's like, hey, all right, we get an extra inning or two. But those of us who've worked in the profession, we don't like it. So part of me is like, hey, let's get the game moving, but there's got to be a better way than this. So all those years of broadcasting minor league baseball, I think I had two games, and we're talking years, go 14 innings. That was the longest game I ever did, was 14 innings. So that's not a lot of fun, I'll tell you that. But let's look at that data I just presented. I don't think Major League Baseball's got quite a case for continuing with the runner at second base to start an extra inning. So again, like Dr. Larry, why do you even care about this? Because it's not baseball. Now, is the pitch clock baseball? Not really, but it's here to stay, and I'm embracing that because I see that the games are moving quickly. I don't see any unintended consequences yet. I mean, it hasn't. We got still kind of a small sample size with only 2 years under our belts with the pitch clock. So, what do I mean by that? I am curious to see if we're going to see some arm fatigue and some arm injuries, as some have stated. In fact, I write about that in my book with some of the research I did. Some were concerned about that, so we're going to keep our eye on that as well. But here's a lesson and a suggestion, I guess, really for Major League Baseball is to look around you. And I know folks that are in marketing that work with all of the major leagues, NBA, NFL, MLB, Major League Soccer, and to a person, they have told me Major League Baseball does not do a very good job of collaborating with other leagues. They just kind of work in a silo. But here's a page you should be taking out of the book from the NFL, and I address this in my book. I think the NFL, which we know is king, like it or not, and I am an NFL fan. I love the NFL. But look at what they do when it comes to rules. They have a rules committee. They tweak, they scrap, they reinvent every single season. And you know what? As fans, we may not like all of the rules that they institute, but I know one thing. I look forward to finding out what are the new rules going to be for the upcoming season. And I bet if you follow the NFL, you do too. And wouldn't that be great for Major League Baseball? As opposed to doing all these kind of, a passive aggressive type of ways of bringing rules in, kind of like the rule that I talked about a couple of weeks ago with the challenge for pitches. It wasn't at every ballpark in spring training, just a few. Um, and you can watch that video because I go into some detail about that as well. But this one, it just was something I was watching a game the other night, and I thought, are we not over the ghost runner at second base? I mean, these are grown-ups. I mean, this is Major League Baseball. So they play an 11th inning. I mean, it's one extra inning. If they're that fragile with their pitchers and pitching staff, that's not an issue that should be impacting the game itself and having something that looks absolutely ridiculous. Nonetheless, it's here right now. So I would like to know your opinion on it. Share your thoughts on, is it good for the game? Do you even care? Am I making a big deal about nothing? And as always, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. And as always, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being here. For the love of the game, I'm Dr. Larry.